All right, guys, we're up to episode number 5. Ooh, shiny hands. Been working the product in. Episode number 5 of our beard advice series. So stay tuned. We'll see who we've got picked out today. All right, Brian Haywood here. Welcome back to my Beards and Banjos YouTube channel where we do some product reviews. We talk about tips and tricks for your beard and we do some special series. So what I've been doing lately is we've started a beard advice series where I work those tips and tricks into a kind of a personal style consultation for you guys. So all you've got to do is send me an email to the address below, a couple of pictures, a little brief description there about what kind of advice you're seeking. And then I kind of have the wheels turn in my head. I do some thinking, I do some research. Sometimes I do some photoshopping. Sometimes I figure out what celebrity's beard that might match. Do different things for different people. And then you get your own personal style consultation video like we have today. And today, dun-dun, dun-dun, we got the shark, the bearded shark. So we got Mo today. So Mo is an up-and-comer, YouTube and on Instagram, the Bearded Shark. He does beard reviews. He's been doing those for a little while. He does a great job on those. Very informative, very well-spoken young man. So I suggest you follow him. He sent me some pictures and he said, "Here you go." So I emailed him back and said, "What kind of advice are you looking for?" He said, "I don't know, whatever you want. I'm just trying to support your channel." So I do appreciate that. Let's see if we can do some fine tuning on this beard here. So the first thing that you might notice is we had a little accident there trimming up the mustache. So he ended up taking off the whole mustache, but he didn't take off the whole beard. So you kind of see the hybrid beard style where there's no mustache in the beard. You see a lot used in the Amish community. So no, he's not doing an honest Amish kind of advertisement or anything. That's called the whaler sometimes. So you can kind of see what you would look like. It's not usually these days a popular beard style, but nonetheless, he got to see what he looked like without a mustache and a beard. So I wanted to talk briefly about that and see if we can give you some tips and tricks there about trimming your mustache. So what you want to do on that, if you're using clippers on it, which I think he was, what you can do is actually rest the clipper against your chin there or your bottom lip and then kind of go in a fan motion, okay? I'm teaching pre-calculus and I keep wanting to think that's going like you're opening counterclockwise on the unit circle, but we won't go there. I don't want to scare anybody with the math. But if you're going guardless on the clippers, you kind of want to do this and just follow the lip line. So you can kind of anchor it, follow the lip line. And then if you're going to do anything else, there's a couple things you can do. You can use a comb and kind of do the clipper over comb, or you can put a guard on your clipper. The Axis Brio trimmers are the best ones for your mustache. It's a little bit smaller profile. And then you can, same way you saw me trim down my cheeks with the big Brio, you can do the same thing on your mustache. You could do it with the big Brio, but it's a little bit harder to maneuver since it's so wide. You might end up taking out parts that you don't want to. So, but always have a guard on it when you're doing that. Otherwise, you can also just use scissors and just cut along the lip line. And once again, you can rest the scissors on your lower lip as you go, so everything's not kind of all wacky when you're trying to trim your mustache there. You don't want your hands shaking all over the place. So a little tip and trick for everybody there about trimming your mustache. And when this Epic Mustache Challenge is over, I may have to show you some of those tips and tricks firsthand as I trim mine maybe. I probably will. I don't know how much to trim this. I'm gonna have to ask you guys for some advice on that. But if you take a look at Mo's profile picture, what I want to work on or to suggest is to maybe work on the edges, kind of sharpening up all these lines. I think would really improve the look there. So we've got your cheek line we could sharpen up. We've got the back line back here. And then we also have whether to make kind of the square shape or rounded shape on that. Okay, so let's talk about, what do I want to talk about first? Let's talk about that back line. So you want to try to get a back line there. It doesn't have to be a straight line. It could be more kind of curved. You don't want to go too far out because it just becomes aggravating, right? So you don't want to have to be addressing this every 2 or 3 days and having to shave and all that kind of stuff, because that kind of defeats the purpose of having the beard. So if you take a look at this one, I put a little line there in for him, a little bit curved. And then on this particular line, you could see how you could keep more of a square shape back here, okay? Or you could go a little bit more rounded. So I also kind of mocked that one up where you could go a little bit more rounded. What I tend to do on mine is to go a little more rounded, and then especially when my beard's a little bit shorter, my neckline kind of grows down a little bit, and then by the time I need another trim, it's looking a little bit more square. So you kind of get a little bit of both there. Next up, let's talk about the cheek line there. If you talk about, look at your sideburn at the top, you've got the bald head. And by the way, bald is beautiful. That looks great. So I'm assuming that you shave your head every day or two. And then you've got your sideburn that's kind of tapered in a little bit, but then it kind of, let me take my glasses off, kind of defeats the tapering when you go through and you just shave your head and then you've got a line on there. So there's a couple things we can do to address this. And I wanted to think about it being useful and not adding anything to the amount of time that you're having to take to do this. So I don't know if you've seen any of the guys where they kind of make it into a point. I actually think that would work well, because if you're shaving everything else, as you're shaving your head, you just kind of shave there around the point. That keeps you from having to go back and keep fading every day, because if you're trying to fade and keep your sideburn perfect from a bald head into your beard, that's going to take a lot of time and effort to keep that fade going just the right way. So I think the point would look good. And then also, as you're doing that, you can sharpen up your cheek line and then go to the point. All right. So I think that would be good. You can still taper down the point, but as it grows back out, you're still kind of shaving around that point, and then the point itself can just get a little bit thicker until you've got time, maybe once a week, to taper that back down a little bit. So I really think that would sharpen up your look and not add any more time to what you're having to do, and be easy fix right there, if you will. All right, so when you look at the straight on picture from Mo, you'll see he's got a very full goatee area, looks really good, and he's got great coverage all over. All right, as his beard gets longer, he starts to have some curl to it, and it's like an inverted curl going out this way. I looked at some of his pictures on Instagram where it was a little bit longer, and it kind of goes out like that. So I want to see if we could figure out a way to address that. So I'm not sure what kind of routine you're using, if you're using a hair dryer, or I don't think you said you're using a heated brush yet. You're looking at maybe to start reviewing them. But what my suggestion to you is to start addressing that curl and try to get it curling the other way. You want everything to come down and then put all this stuff forward. So how can you do that? The best thing is a round brush, not a comb. All right, so if you just go straight down, I know you're not making it curve out, but you can actually try to force it to curve in. So anywhere that you've got either a flat spot or a curl out, just starting to curl out, if you will, take your brush, your round brush, and then curl it down. Okay, so what you're doing is you're taking it, addressing that, and as you're doing, you're kind of pushing up. So push up, grab it, get some tension, have the hair dryer, and just pull straight down on it, and then you can go down a little bit further, pull straight down on it, and then comb it out, and then even at the very bottom, curl everything under. I think that would start to address those issues. I don't think a heated brush just by itself would do that. I think you really need the round brush to get the curl going the other way. All right, and once again, I'm not talking about adding tons of time. If you look at my morning routine video, the time I spend with the hair dryer is about 2 minutes, right? You basically dry everything, and then you address the problem spots to kind of put volume and get the curls going the right way, straight down. And then I do a boar's hair brush flat, and then I use my hands and hit the cold shot, and that's it. So it really is less than 2 minutes I spend with the hair dryer. So we're not talking about adding tons of time and standing in front of the mirror all day, because that's no fun. But you might have to experiment until you can find the right thing that works for you. All right, so let's look at the other profile picture for just a minute and offer him some suggestions, or just throwing stuff out. All right, throwing stuff out. This is a little bit on the wild side, if you will. But if you'll take a look at, as I said, he's got the great goatee area, and then the cheeks are has great coverage. It's a little bit lighter in there, so you'll see a natural dividing line. If you wanted to go extreme, you could have that extreme goatee and kind of shave along that line, and that would be easier with having, you wouldn't have anything to blend, right? You wouldn't have anything to taper, really, if you just have that goatee. Really kind of big extended goatee, if you will. Yeah, you could even also kind of curve it around a little bit and then have it going back and have a sort of like a Hollywoodian that we talked about with Hollywood Dave back in episode 3, I believe it was. All right, so you could do something like that if you wish. But once again, you could also just kind of keep what you're doing, sharpen up the lines. I really think the idea with going to the point would make your life easier and not have to worry about blending that sideburn into your bald head as much. It would make things a little bit easier for you. Also, once you figure out how long you want to go, you'll have to decide, do I want all of this hair to be one length, to start up here and be long, or do you want this to taper? And if that's the case, then you could, what you've got going on right up there at the top, I would get rid of all of that up to about where the middle of your ear is. And then you start kind of fading stuff in from there, okay? And so you wouldn't even need that little spot up there. I think would look better if you got to get rid of that and start to taper this stuff in. Okay, so somewhere on the line, right about here is where that would be. Shave everything above that and then start to taper till about right here, and then kind of have your blend or your fade on there. All right, so hopefully I gave Mo some food for thought on kind of cleaning up the lines a little bit, going to the point, and then some options about where you could go stylistically, and then also to start to address the curl and get it to go this way instead of that way. It's going to take a little bit of effort, but I really think it's worth it to try to figure out what's going to work for you as far as your a style that's going to give you the shape and the look that you want. All right, so hopefully a little food for thought for everyone on that one. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you next time. I'm trying to do about 2 of these a week, so send me an email and we'll see what we can do. Thanks.